stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In terms of roll call, we have, I think we're missing.
Chris is excused, and George.
Yep. And Glenn.
Joe Martina here, Scott McGrath, Julia, Zach, and Bill are here.
Thank you.
And we have a guest, Lindsay.
Returning guest. Okay, no public comments today. I don't know if anyone got a chance to look at the minutes from March. If we have a motion to approve the minutes from March.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Minutes pass from March. Okay. Joe, if you want to run us through it. What I think we had like a town council meeting with Community Power, and you can go through any updates you want.
Yeah. Let me just call up something here. Desktop there. Environment. Okay. So last month there was some, I don't know what I would call negative press on WMUR and NPR about community power, the rates being higher than Eversource, and there was a couple of communities that were considering withdrawing from community power. So the town council asked community power senior executives to, if they could come down and talk to the town council and explain, what was going on. And basically, the guy Henry Hearden, he is the executive director of community power, came and he had addressed the town council, and he briefly went over why the rates were what they are, and what our outlook is for, or what the outlook is for getting back to profitability. And he also talked a little bit about, the advantages of community power. That was just a recap of that meeting. One of the town councilors has since, as of this afternoon, wrote a letter, outlining his concerns, basically. So it kind of leads two things. It kind of leads into the next piece on the agenda here, and that is, in addition to being the Energy and Environment Committee, we are also the Electric Aggregation Committee. There's Newmarket Community Power is an entity unto itself, basically, and Newmarket Community Power contracts with Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire to buy the electricity for us and do the billing and all that. Okay? We are, in the document, we are the Electric Aggregation Committee, and it's our responsibility to kind of monitor Newmarket Community Power and make recommendations to the town council. So one of the things that I think we should do, or I'm asking that we should do, is we should keep our options open, and potentially look at contracting with other entities other than community power for purchase of electricity. With that, there's this company called Freedom Energy. They would like to come talk to this committee next month, and so I'm asking, is the committee okay with that, to bring them in next month and get a presentation from them, and after that we can discuss what's going on. Okay. Again, I've talked extensively in the past about why the rates for community power are what they are, and if anybody has, I can go on for 20 minutes talking about why they are what they are. There is a, yeah, sure.
Do you happen to know if Freedom Energy had the same, or maybe it was expected, if they had the same rates that Community Power had?
The last I saw, I don't recall what they were, but the rates were cheaper than Eversource. So the rates that they currently have were showing are cheaper than Eversource. But
they do it?
Again,
We'll find out
that's a
next month.
bunch of questions for them when they come here. So,
So the next community power price adjustment be 6 months after February, so that'd be August? Is that-
yeah, right. Community Power comes out with their next set of rates in August. They're effective August 1st. They won't announce them until sometime in July. And we won't know until then.
If I remember correctly, it's a couple months, basically, we'd have to give them notice if we were to switch off of them. At
Yeah,
least.
there's, we have to talk about that or whatever, because one of the things we have with them is a cost-sharing agreement. And basically it says if they've bought more electricity for Newmarket than they've gotten in revenues from Newmarket, for us to exit, Newmarket has to, make up that difference. They don't want to spread that to the other communities. So we have to take a look and see, do we in fact have an exit price if we were to exit. Also, we have to give them like a 6-month notice, because they go out and purchase electricity for us. For that upcoming 6 months, they've contracted for a certain amount of electricity. So we would have to wait till after the end of that 6-month period or rate period before we could exit. So there's a lot of discussions, a lot of stuff we have to talk about doing that. Okay. Well, I'll just add a couple of other things. I think I talked about this a little bit last time. In March, Community Power sent out 767 notices to Newmarket residents saying, hey, you're a new customer to Newmarket Newmarket Electricity. You're currently with Eversource. We're going to switch you over to Newmarket Community Power. You have the option to opt out. So haven't seen those figures. When I have the figures next month, these figures here that I'm showing right now are as of the end of the month. So as of the end of March, there were 5,677 electric meters in Newmarket. 3,315 are on Community Power, which is 58%. At the peak, we were at 73% of residents in Newmarket were on Community Power. We had 75 people withdraw from Newmarket Community Power during March, and I think a lot of that was attributed to the fact that there were things put on Facebook and the things that were said on WMUR and whatever about rates, and people they can opt out of Community Power and go with Eversource or go with Direct Energy or any other company they want, simply by calling an 800 number and giving them the account, and they'll be switched from Community Power, and there's no penalty, no charge. So. So that's my Community Power update, and we'll look forward to talking to Freedom Energy next month and see what happens there. Questions?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Joe. And we will just note, I don't know, I guess takeaway would be you to respond to Freedom Energy and let them know.
Yes.
And I know they've been in contact, so.
They've tentatively penciled us in for the next month.
Yep.
And, but I'll send them the formal.
Okay, perfect. The next item, hopefully you're up for it, but if not, okay. Walk us through, I'm hoping, Lindsay, you can walk us through some of the feasibility study. I know you shared it last month. I looked through it today and like a little bit, but I don't know if others have looked through it. So I thought maybe if Joe could pull it up on the screen.
What am I pulling up?
So it's the solar feasibility assessment. Yeah, from SolarSmart. She sent it shortly after our last meeting. I think it was on our existing, or like our last month's email chain, but yeah, just from Lindsay, probably. and not to walk us through everything, because a lot of it is like market data, like stuff at the beginning, but like highlights of the proposal, I don't know, thoughts, what we've, I guess, like follow-up conversations that may have occurred. I had one thought on one particular thing, or actually, I guess I have a few thoughts, but yeah.
You could just search for
Yeah,
me
I was
at the
like,
top.
just click on the search and type Lindsay.
Closer to this.
Yeah.
Right near the middle of
There
the
we go.
alphabet.
Yeah, I think that's probably it right there. Yep. I don't know if you want to just direct him to like where to go first, but I mean, I have it up too, and I was thinking like page 13 is probably this reasonable starting
Well,
point.
I guess, so, you sort of asked the question, so you've looked at it. Has anybody else looked at it in any detail? No? Okay, so to provide a little bit of an overview before we get into things, SolSmart was able to, through Clean Energy New Hampshire, they had a contract to provide some technical services to some of the communities that are members of Clean Energy New Hampshire. So we took advantage of this opportunity to get some technical assistance, and they did this solar feasibility assessment evaluating 5 municipal sites for solar array installation. Installations of solar arrays to varying degrees. And the bottom line of what they were looking at was with the objective of maximizing energy generation on the site. So when you look at the layouts, I've said in other settings and conversations, they're very solar optimistic. They're not necessarily taking into account site use and right sizing or other site constraints. So they basically took a look at the overall site for rooftop, canopy, or ground mounted based on open area that was not being used by something else or planned to be used by something else. So those were the sites there, DPW, fire, rescue. That site, we currently have a solar array on the fire station. So they were taking a look at if we were to improve the building to support additional solar PV on the DPW side. And I don't think they looked at ground, if I remember correctly. I think it was just rooftop. The police department and town hall, they looked at existing roof area with the understanding that we have plans and intentions to renovate and do additions on those. So the roof configuration will likely change on those. So it's just looking at what exists there now, and if we were to incorporate solar on those when we go through with those additional plans, there's potential that could go up or down, but estimate for energy generation there. And then I think both of those incorporate carport options over parking areas. In general, the police department seemed like the most viable opportunity to do a carport of the sites that were evaluated, because the parking area or parking lot portion would need to be reconstructed, and you need to do ground mount support to be able to do that. And they would have vehicles that would need to be parked there. So there's additional benefit to having the carport cover in that area. Town hall, it was looking at the back parking lot and having a carport over that, but if we don't need to reconstruct the parking lot with the work that's being done, then it may not pan out in the numbers. Then the community center and the high school, the junior senior high school, and then the Carpenter properties. The Carpenter properties are the properties that are across the street from the junior senior high school. There's an existing parking lot, and then there's a lot of field and wood space behind that that is made up of a couple of different parcels, one very large one that the school district owns and two smaller ones that the town owns. And they kind of all infill that area along South Main Street, Packers Falls Road, Maple Crest Drive, and I think Riverbend Drive is the other road that kind of blocks that in. So the Soul Smart study was looking at doing a ground mount that basically went out to property lines on that, saving a small area. I say small, but it's still a handful of acres to do an athletic field and a track. So this was all just kind of conceptual. What could we do here? How could we incorporate this? Since this study, we've had some actual real conversations between the town and the school district as to what the school district wants to do with that parcel, that piece of land, what kind of plans they would like to advance for athletic facilities, and what kind of plans the town would like to potentially incorporate into that, whether it's a solar array or a different type of energy generation project or a trail network, recreational trail network that could connect some of those neighborhoods off-road. There are a few different things that various entities and departments have kind of expressed wanting to create a partnership with the school district to do a project there. So the school district has, as of last week, contracted with an engineering firm to start the preliminary design and assessment for an athletic field. And that athletic field is based on preliminary discussions, ideally a 6 to 8 lane track with a football size field that would be on the interior, plus additional fields for like the field events that go along with track and field, and then potential future planning for additional expansion if there could be a practice field that's regulation size for soccer or something else. So they are going to look at conceptual options for what they can do with that. And once they have a good sense of cost and footprint, then we can have some more real conversations about would the town want to partner with them and do a solar array that supports the lighting for the fields and potentially ties into the school, potentially offset some of the accounts, maybe even tie into the community center because they could connect through between there, so we could get a little bit of a behind the meter grid campus use. And that's, I guess, enough of an overview. We can take questions.
When they'd have that conceptual design done?
The goal is September 1st to have a preferred, the kickoff meeting was last week. They did include me as a representative on the town side, but it was the school district, the school board representatives, the principal of the junior senior high school, athletic director, and I think the track coach, all kind of involved to get it kicked off and start talking about size and feasibility, what could go there. And the goal is they will have a few meetings over the course of the next several months to identify kind of preferred concepts that would work for the primary uses that they want to see there. And that cost estimate would be something that they could take to design development, but that would be later in the fall. They're hoping to have a number and concept plan for budgeting, starting budgeting season. So that's why they're targeting September 1st.
I'm sorry, I'm a little slow here. So they're looking to have things in a rough conceptual idea so that they can put it in the budget that goes for next year?
So that they can determine if they are prepared to and if the town has an appetite to. We don't have I'm going to say I don't have a good sense of what the cost for this will be, because I don't really know exactly what they're trying to incorporate in it. So if it seems like a little too much for what the community is ready to stomach or not quite palatable, then it probably won't be something that they put forward in this year's budget, but they want to know if it is something that they start working towards or not.
Okay, so in my pea brain, I'm kind of thinking, if they have kind of like a conceptual design and we kind of have an idea what it is that we want to do, I'm fairly confident that the town doesn't have an appetite for doing a large expenditure for solar, okay, even though we would like it, they probably don't. But if you have the conceptual design, whatever, does that then allow you to potentially look for grants to do that? Do you need, would you be in a position to then look for grant money
Yes, it would.
with what they come up with at this point?
With a concept, yes, and a general footprint. What would help, or part of the like steps in the process, getting that concept plan and knowing what kind of footprint would be reserved for the athletic and recreation space lets us get a better sense of what is left and what kind of natural resources exist. I know there's a lot of poorly draining soil,
Yeah, right,
but
right.
so having an idea of what remains on the site and what possible uses would be options for that will help us to have more discussions on the town side as to how we want to use that space, and if there are pieces that will integrate with what the school is doing. And it should be set up, I believe it's going to be set up in a way that it could be phased. Even portions of the athletic field could be, maybe they go for the track first and just do like bleacher stadium and not necessarily like a full stadium and press box. And that could be additional phases that come later. We'll see what the concept looks like and what the numbers come in at.
But I was looking more from like the solar arrays or whatever that we have for lighting or whatever.
I think it would be, and if it's going to power the lighting, it would be integral to the project. And it would be great if a portion of it could be integral to the project, and then there's opportunity for expansion as an additional phase after the fact. But I don't know, and we certainly don't want to bite off more than we can chew with the first ask and kill the whole thing.
Yeah.
So getting a handle on that footprint and the numbers associated with it will be an important step for this year.
Does partnering with between the town and the school increase the pool of funding that's available, or is it really just, does that not change?
Not really.
Okay.
All comes out of our property taxes one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Whether it's that budget or their budget.
Yeah. Okay.
And both are eligible for grant and other opportunities equally too. So yeah.
And in terms of powering the lighting, and you mentioned behind the meter, so like self-consuming the power that's generated. Is there an assumption that we'd be pairing like a battery or something with it? Because obviously
Likely.
you're not generating energy when you need lights on.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would
That's
likely
great.
be a feature that gets worked into that. And I mentioned powering the lighting because that has come up in the conversations about how integrating these projects together could work out well for both parties, and be able to have a good educational component to see this solar array right here is powering these lights so that we can play our game, and there's a direct correlation to being able to generate that energy on site and be able to use it. So.
Could you explain the kilowatts DC and kilowatts AC?
Column.
I cannot. That is not my
I can
wheelhouse. I don't know if
that.
you want to go.
So solar is generated in DC.
I know, and then there's an inverter, so I assume that's
It's usually
what's
like-
lost by the inverter.
Exactly, and it's usually around like 1.3. So.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I figured, but I just wasn't positive.
Yep. Yeah. So really, what we're getting is 216 on the fire rescue or whatever.
The difference is heat.
Your losses of heat, right? Yeah.
The difference from the 2 gallons is heat.
Yeah.
So the AC is what I had been told, so it sounds like it's correct. The AC is typically what we we use when we're actually talking about what would be generated?
DC is what the solar panels generate, and AC is what we
What
can
can be
actually use.
used from it? Okay, yeah, good.
The difference is
It'll always be
lost
less,
to heat,
yeah.
as things always are.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and you mentioned this at our last meeting, Lindsay, that their assumptions across the board were extremely optimistic.
Yes,
Oh.
all assumptions across the board, with the exception of the tax incentive. They did not include that
Okay,
in the
that's good.
numbers because we were
I,
understanding that that was likely not going to be available.
yeah,
And so that is not incorporated in
Okay.
there.
It really would be cool. It's gonna happen.
yeah, even some of it. I was gonna just add to that, like the one, and this is probably related to tax, but there's in this, embedded in this, in the numbers, it's, the costs aren't on this, in this table, but they listed assumptions, and it was very broad strokes, like $3 per watt for rooftop, $4 for carports. Like, I did some research after that, and like that's very conservative. Like, I think it would be cheaper than that personally, but I mean, maybe I'm too optimistic. But like, even my rooftop was like half that, so I think they were hyper.
Yes, they definitely were on the conservative side
Yeah, for
across
pricing.
the board with all of these.
Yeah.
Because it's for budgeting purposes and there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we wanted to look at the individual sites just to chat through any of that, or if it's worth it. But I did.
So some of the stuff is dependent on like we talked before, roofs being able to support it, and so rolling those in next time those are actually up for like repair or replacement. I guess even not knowing the exact sites, but even if a quarter, like some of these 640%, even if you make that a little bit more realistic and say you can only use a quarter of that usable space, that's still offsetting at least its energy use, which is great. And then additionally would have a little bit of additional, I guess in this case we're going to assume that it's just going to resell back and not be part of like a microgrid, just because of rolling these out one at a time is more than likely going to be the case if we're waiting for infrastructure to be replaced. Maybe someday the microgrid they can time all together, but it's probably going to be onesie twosies until we can really build something out. So I feel like it can offset it even at a fraction, and it's going to get some payout because it's exceeding that. Then it would be worth pursuing pretty much any of these as the time comes up for rolling those into whatever infrastructure is available.
And that's really, from my perspective and the conversations I've had with other town departments, the benefit to having this feasibility study is that we have 5 priority sites that we know could generate enough energy to offset the use at the site specifically, plus some surplus that could offset additional accounts. And when we look at making improvements to those buildings or those facilities, we want to take advantage of whatever opportunities we can to incorporate this into it. Not necessarily try to go ahead and pursue all of these projects as they've been conceptualized here, but we've got a starting point, and we also have the feasibility study to point to when we're seeking funds to support these projects. You usually need to you got to put a little bit of effort into conceptualizing something and understand if it's going to work before people are willing to be like, yes, here, we will give you grant money to do this. So this we can point to say, well, we did a feasibility study and we know that we could generate more than we need here, so this is a good opportunity to try to incorporate. And it kind of puts us in a better position and makes a project more competitive for grant funding when you can point to some sort of assessment that says it would be worthwhile to pursue.
Seems to me that properties in high school is way more than everything else combined.
And that is primarily due to the space.
But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the one to concentrate
Well,
on.
Joe, can
Yeah, but I also feel like that probably has the most rosiness because we talk about the projects they already want to put on there. If they assume the entire,
Yeah.
they said they weren't going to assume the entire thing, but 3/4 of that is assumed to be solar, when in reality it's going to be something more like probably 20% of that area
Right.
at the end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that looks less rosy when you take out that.
Yes.
Page. This might be helpful to see. Page 24 is the layout for the Carpenter High School.
Yeah, and that's where I say, like, they did the layouts
just-
basically out to property lines
Yeah.
and just,
Like, very unrealistic.
yeah, so that's the one. The orange is what they omitted as solar array space so that could be used for the athletic field space. So we're not sure if that's the right footprint for it, or if it would likely be configured somewhat differently so that we can get better traffic flow than using that main entrance. But this was just kind of Lego style. Put the blocks in and see how they fit. So
So you're clearing land, you're doing a lot of
Right.
things to develop that for the solar that makes that less appetizing, but.
So maybe we wouldn't necessarily do something like this, but maybe we do 2 of these blocks or some variation of what's here. And this is kind of a starting point to be able to scale back. And
So aside from this property, because that is with the school board, so there's a dynamic there that we can't totally control as the town, on what they decide to do. So aside from that one, have you at least started looking at what's kind of those first, second, third priorities of the other 4?
I have, yes. The Public Works facility is, in looking at the numbers there too, it was the next highest potential for generation because it's a very large roof space. It's an existing impervious area that could be better utilized. So next steps would be evaluating the roof and getting a cost estimate for roof repair so that we could consider moving forward with something there. And the additional benefit, which is included in here, I had some correspondence with SoulSmart when they were putting this together to incorporate some notes and consideration for tie-in to the wastewater treatment facility, because DPW and fire is immediately adjacent to the wastewater treatment facility, which is the town's largest electric load of any of our facilities. So we would have a great opportunity to use just about everything, possibly all of it that's generated behind the meter if we run a wire to connect to the wastewater treatment.
Do you know if that's paying the same rate as like the town in general pays, or because it's, I would say, more industrial, or?
It is an industrial, so I'm not sure, but I know a lot of other facilities, wastewater treatment facilities around New Hampshire have done their own, so we could find out easily.
It would just, if they end up paying a higher rate because of their large user, it'd be nice to definitely offset that, because that's even more savings than like a typical like town hall or one
Yep.
of the other buildings. So not that you don't have to
You're
give me
right.
the numbers, but
But that's good consideration in that too.
okay. No, that makes sense to pursue that one initially and see what the feasibility is of the roof supporting that.
And I think, so for the other 3, just to kind of quickly touch on, the police department and town hall, we have plans and intentions for future renovation addition here and at the police department. So when those projects move forward, solar can be incorporated at a much more reasonable cost to the town to be part of a larger project. So those will just continue to be on the radar and projects that we can take advantage of when the opportunities arise. The community center is a little more challenging because the town doesn't actually own the building or the field areas because that's school. So that one's kind of out there and on the list, and we'll look for opportunities to do something there, but it's not really the higher priority options.
Yeah, I think once we see what the school ends up doing with their fields, and that might give a good base to then argue for tying in things more broadly or expanding from there.
Yep.
Like kind of pointed out earlier, if you bite off too much at once, it kind of.
We don't want to scare everybody.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's a very visible project over there, whereas like DPW, all that, I don't think that people are going to drive by it every day, or like interact with it. Whereas this, it's very much kind of more public-facing
Yeah.
project, especially the community center stuff too would be very public-facing. So.
Was there any, through the plans that the school district is looking at for that part, the sports facilities, were there any buildings or infrastructure they were including? Was it really just like fields and tracks?
Primarily fields. They are looking at some buildings, bathroom facilities and storage. There was some talk about press box and stands. I don't think they were looking at other outbuildings associated with it for a first pass, but
Yeah, I was just thinking, because like the only, like, to the extent you can minimize tree clearing, you can dual use space. On top of a building would be ideal, but the other was if there's like a stadium. I don't know how big of a structure we're looking at, but like press box or like an overhang protecting the seats so that people don't get rained on. That would be, in my view, like a place that would be a great place to put solar panels on top of it. You could probably do it pretty sizable for like 300 feet or whatever the length of a football field is.
yeah. Well, I'll bring that up when we meet next and talk about just what they're thinking, more about what they're thinking. I think the preliminary was kind of the kickoff meeting was, what are the school district's goals and objectives for looking at, and Verdantis is the engineering firm that's working on it, so they're going to start doing a review of all of the existing conditions information and traffic, utilities, natural resources, get into all that stuff now. So
They're moving faster than I expected.
the goal is ambitious to have, and they have a good plan. So I have faith that they'll probably have a good concept that's going to work for all the school district needs, and then we can kind of start looking at the broader site in the fall, which
Cool.
is great.
I had one other question about the community center building. You kind of answered it by saying that it's mostly school district, even the grass area.
It's actually, so the community center building, the front face of the building is the property line. The building itself is on the housing authority land. So the Newmarket Housing Authority actually owns the building and the parking area behind it and surrounding, and then the parking in the front and the fields the school district owns. So town of Newmarket doesn't actually own properties there.
That gives us less flexibility there, but I had a thought for the grass area. It's a small-ish space. It's nothing right now. It's just grass. Like that would be like, in my view, like one of those perfect opportunities for like a demonstration type project that's agrivoltaics is the term, but dual use, where it's solar plus like a pollinator meadow. And there are solar developers that like specialize in that, and like partnering with them. And I think that's something that like I feel like the community would be much more amenable to. So I don't know. It's like we'd have to pitch that to the school rather than just having the town do it. And it's not a huge space, so it probably would not be that expensive of a project. I don't know. That was just my idea for that space.
Anything happening at Sewell Well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Do we have plans to maybe look for grants and start?
We did seek drinking water SRF, state revolving fund, funding for that because it's a well site, and we did not get any funding there. We haven't really talked about pursuing other grant opportunities. I can talk more with Sean.
Okay.
I think the only other, if others have questions, we can stick to this. The only other question I had about related to solar was coming out of, I think it was last meeting, the existing fire department array, and if we ever ran down whether or not we're collecting renewable energy certificates on that.
Yeah, the RECs. Yeah, that's a good question. And we did not find any. I looked into this with Bill. I had several conversations with Bill trying to identify neither of us were here when that was installed, so it was a paper trail to try to find contracts and how it was set up. We could not find anything indicating that we're selling them, so
Okay.
we're not getting any revenue from it. So we unofficially concluded that we are taking credit for generating the renewable energy and not selling the RECs.
So taking credit,
Meaning claiming that we are a renewable energy generator and we're doing the green thing by doing that, but not taking the revenue for selling the RECs.
is that like kind of a binary, like you do one or the other?
Correct.
I'm not familiar with that.
You do one or the other. You can choose to sell the RECs, or you can choose to take credit for them and say that it's one of those,
I see.
if you're going to say that you are generating or moving towards the renewable energy and stuff, then you want to take credit for generating that energy, not sell it to Eversource.
Who buys it
And
and hires
right.
them.
So you either sell the RECs or you take credit for the RECs. And it appears that we are taking credit for the RECs. We could move to sell them and get some revenue.
I would highly encourage us to do that.
Yes.
How big is the array, do you know?
I think I was looking into that and I don't have that. I can get that information.
And does anyone have a monitoring system for this? Like,
Yes.
we do? Okay.
We have Solar Edge.
Oh, nice, okay.
So we have a
So we could
login.
know.
Yeah.
I would be curious especially because Community Power buys RECs.
Yep.
And they would go through the process of registering us with, I think it's NEPool, NE Power Pool, something like that. And they're paying $35 a megawatt hour, which for a decent array is maybe $500,000 a year.
Mhm.
Not much, but
But it's more revenue than we're getting on it right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it really does anything for us as a government entity, like a town, to have those. It's not like we're a company or we're trying to get certain things.
No, it's
So it really doesn't benefit us to keep them.
some municipalities
yeah.
that have arrays take credit for their RECs so that they know that those RECs aren't being sold to companies that are selling energy for or using it to offset so that they're not generating renewable energies. So it's more of a moral question, I think, than anything. I personally sell the RECs from my house, so
Same.
I like the revenue.
Yeah, I would be in favor of looking at trying to sell those, whatever entity that is that would
And
pay us for it.
I'll talk more with Bill about that because I think also when Larry was here from CES talking about our contract with them, and I think they would buy the RECs too. We can have more conversations about what that would look like. So I'll talk with Bill to pursue that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. I think we can move on to Turtle Fest. So a few of us connected as, I guess you could call it, a subcommittee in preparation for hosting a booth at Turtle Fest, which is May 9th. The primary focus will be around this Trex plastic bag collection program that we're launching. Really introducing it, being there to answer questions for anyone that's attending the event, and we've sort of soft announced it via Facebook a few days ago, the two Newmarket groups, and we've gone through some steps of like registering with the Trex website, engaging with various the potential collection points, which would be the two different schools, the junior senior high school, the elementary school, the rec center, the library. And so those were the original four. I think we're still waiting to hear about town hall, but
Yeah, Steve's been on vacation this week, so he's not answering email. Terry's fine with it.
yeah, great. I didn't get any negative engagement on the Facebook posts, but I did get some positive. Like, it seemed like people were pretty pleased or excited about it. So preliminary engagement was positive. And yeah, so for the Turtle Fest, Julia, Joe, Chris, and I, in some form, will be at the event. Anyone else is encouraged or welcome to come. It's kind of a long day, but you can just go to the school, I think, and just participate in, or just show up there to attend different booths, or there's
Yeah,
like
the part at the school is about 3 hours.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a more reasonable
Yes,
time
yeah,
frame to
than
commit
like
to
going
for
at
the day.
7 a.m. to Wigan Farm to do a bird walk, which does sound great, but
Yeah, you can
um,
pick and choose events.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
parts of the event.
and we have, I think, Lynn, you're doing like a keynote speech or some sort of address.
Yeah, I don't
right?
know if it's keynote, but
I
I'm
thought
doing a
Chris
presentation.
mentioned something like calling it keynote. Yeah. Yeah, but looking forward to that. And I think I just wanted to let everyone know on the committee that we'll have a booth there. We've done a little bit of work on the side preparing for that, and we can
Will you have one of the collection things there?
the bins.
Yeah.
Ideally, so the company Trex. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Trex is when you sign up to, like, say we want to participate in this competition or this challenge, they'll ship you 3 of their bins. I think they're identical to the ones, like, if you've ever seen when you walk into a grocery store, like Market Basket. They'll be like kind of by the whatever automatic doors, and they're sending us 3. They should be shipped to the town hall. Still waiting for them. I think Wendy is the one that would be on the lookout for it, but I reached out to the company a few days ago, and they said they still haven't sent them. So
Okay.
but yeah, ideally we could just bring one. Is that what you were recommending?
Yeah,
or-
I think it would be helpful for the visual,
Yeah,
having it
it's
there,
super
even
awkward.
if, people may not be aware in advance and bring their plastic to that, but having a bin there for
Oh, yeah.
people to see so
Could
that
start
they could,
You need a plan, show up, and you're like,
Oh, look, this is so convenient.
just throw my bags in there, and be
Yeah.
the first person to start, so they'll follow.
That's a good idea. Okay, so I'll look into getting a bin for the actual event. Otherwise, yeah, they only give us 3, so if we have 5 locations, we'll need to come up with alternatives, like cardboard boxes. I think the leading idea at the moment. And then we just need, like, volunteers. I think it's going to be me and a few others to routinely pick up the bags, bring them to collection point, or the drop-off location, which would be like the Market Baskets, Hannaford's, etc., that have like official Trex places, and like you can't just stuff them into like the entryway. You have to like call Market Basket and be like, I have a big drop-off, and go to their baler at the back. So I need to explore that step as well still, but from what Chris has said, it sounds like it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else around Turtle Fest specifically that I needed to discuss, except for this one thing, which I was going to have you pull up. So at the booth, we'll intro the plastic bag collection challenge. We're also going to have like a focus on who the Energy Environment Committee is and what our purpose is, and use it as a potential opportunity to fill 2 vacant seats that we have. So Joe printed some applications. We'll have those there. And so I drafted this. I started it, and then I used Microsoft Copilot. So I don't know. I'm not a graphic designer, but I was hoping to get some feedback. I don't know if this would be a send it around afterwards and everyone can give me their feedback, or we could just do this quickly live. It's pretty straightforward. But if people have like ideas for what else we could include, I figured just keep it pretty simple. But yeah, that was my first draft of this.
I like the QR code.
Thank you. Yeah, I just typed how to make a QR code in Google.
I think it's fine.
Okay, and I did want to confirm the community power thing. Like, we definitely want that icon there. I just was putting another picture on, so.
Perhaps it would be better to put the town logo there. So
Okay.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it was because I know you're well, we're being a little sensitive around community power at the moment, so I wanted to flag that one.
People have strong opinions. This is how they can have their voice heard.
Well, that was the other opportunity I was thinking is like we could be there to field questions about it if wanted, but
Okay, all right. I'm fine with it. If you want to leave it on, then. That's
okay. Yeah,
Because, we are
it's a
the,
nice logo.
What's the top of the page look like again?
It has the town. It's the letterhead.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so we kind of already
Okay.
have the town logo, if that's the one you're thinking of, John.
okay.
All right. So we'll print this and have it like, I don't know, on like a stand at the table for people to, there's not a whole lot going on our actual web page on the town's website. It's basically the same information, but there's a few other like more lengthy documents regarding community power, I think. And then the only other idea I had for this was that like fake Facebook page that I like suggested we put together, where everyone just has like a quick bio and picture. I don't know if I'm gonna bother with that.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But I know. Thank you for those of you that have engaged on that one a little bit. But yeah, I think it's good as it is, and we'll get this printed. I don't know. Any other questions or thoughts around Turtle Fest or the plastic bag recycling campaign?
On the blank page where the kids can draw a picture, did you mention earlier having them say something like, draw a picture of, like something connected to recycling? I mean, not typical recycling, but this event, this project.
Yeah.
Like that way we can tie in the color picture with this project.
Yeah. I think the only note I have on it is the suggestion or the prompt would be like, draw what you think of when you think of plastic recycling.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was on.
But that is pretty broad. I wouldn't say it's specific to like.
It isn't, but kids are creative.
Yeah,
We'll
I
think
think that's
about it.
probably best, yeah, for kids to just leave it open-ended.
When you draw what you think of,
When you think of plastic recycling or
Plastic
here,
recycling.
I don't know.
okay.
We can reword that a little bit, but.
You could like encourage them to visualize something that is made from recycled plastic. Might be like more like.
What could you
kind of-
do with?
Yeah, what could you do with it, or what could you turn it into, or
Yeah.
something that might
That's a great
spark
idea.
their creative juices
Yeah.
a little bit more.
And yeah,
That's a good idea.
emphasizes like the second hand or repurposing that really is the idea behind this Trex thing. That's a great.
Okay,
point.
thank you.
Cool. What else? I mean, honestly, number 8 on our agenda, reduce, reuse, recycling. Like the main focus has been the Trex program that we're doing, and I did confirm that there's signage now on the recycling dumpster at the transfer station, which thank you to Rick.
Threw it in
Did he?
there. It kept coming off and he was getting frustrated. So
Yeah.
we just
Awesome.
screw and
I wasn't.
Screw it right off.
Do they like replace the dumpster every time it gets full? Because like it's on, so like they just take it off. They'll have to take the sign off and put it on the new dumpster.
That was part of the reason it was coming off. 'Cause
Yeah.
every time it gets hauled away, but it's so DPW staff hauls it to waste management to dump and then bring back.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's the same dumpster.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
for the most part. There are a few that
Yeah.
get cycled through, but
Okay.
yes.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's made a dent or a difference, but every time I go, I'll look in dumpster and see.
Definitely the plastic bag recycling and Trex opportunity, tie it back to keeping that out of
Yeah.
the recycling and
Yep.
any opportunity you have to talk about it.
Yep.
And just kind of emphasize that
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, I did mention it in the Facebook posts I wrote, but I was trying to keep it like somewhat brief.
Yeah.
But there's only so much I could include, but I did go into that a little bit. But yeah, that's a great point for Turtle Fest as well.
Yeah, when people ask, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
That's a good, we're doing this to get it out of the recycling and reduce our contamination in that
Yeah.
stream.
I mean, everyone's seen those pictures of like a sea turtle with like a floating plastic bag. Like, yeah. Okay. I think that's it. So we'll have freedom at our next meeting, and hopefully some more updates from the school and we'll have some progress on the Trex.
Debrief how Turtle Fest went. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And see how the recycling project is going.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to that. Okay.
I have a whole bunch of plastic bags at home to kind of like seed the box for on May 9th there.
Yeah.
I'll throw
Perfect.
them in there, make it look like we're already doing stuff.
Yeah. So, well, you have the actual plastic bags that you were planning to collect.
Yes,
them
yeah,
in,
I have a
right?
whole stack of them. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah. So we could
I
use
stick
one of
them in a
those to
corner
line
and,
it.
well, I
Yeah.
was going to do something with them, I never do.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. We can talk logistics of collecting them offline and stuff too. But yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. So next meeting is Wednesday, May 27th.
Yep.
I think we'll keep that, and we'll get Freedom Energy here.
Can we confirm? We used to do the fourth Wednesday of every month was our meeting, and then I don't know. We changed it to the last Wednesday of the month. But can we tell Wendy and confirm that from it'll always be the fourth Wednesday of the month?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Is that okay
That's
with
fine.
everybody?
I think that it was scheduled for the 4th, and we just switched.
Yeah,
it.
I mean most of the months have just 4 Wednesdays in them, but there's
Yeah.
some.
So what are we gonna do with next month?
Uh,
Next month?
The 27th.
Yeah.
The fourth.
Which
Going
is the
forward,
fourth
I'll tell
Wednesday.
Wendy it's the fourth Monday of the month.
Yeah. Okay. With that, I think we can adjourn. Go through this. Go ahead.
I second it.
Thank you.
I don't know, that probably wasn't very official. Are you allowed to?
I don't know if as a committee.